And sure enough, it was. So the way they did things then, you went to that officer basic course, 10 weeks. Then they sent you to a basic training camp, which in my case was Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri. And you were there for 6 months, about 2 cycles of troops going through there that you trained, and then you got your orders to Vietnam. I got orders to the 1st Infantry Division. 1st Infantry was right here, from Saigon up to Anlock, a little town past Anlock, Lock in. If you went any further, you were in Cambodia. So we were all through that area. We had 3 base camps, one at Zion, which was spelled D-I-A-N, another one at Lock Hay, which was an old Michelin rubber plantation, and another one at a place called Phuc Vinh. So that was kind of our 3 base camps. You didn't stay in base camp though very often, very seldom. So my first day into the country, I was sent up to, before I was sent to division headquarters. I must have been during the monsoon season. That night, or the afternoon, this rain, I never saw rain like that in my life. It was just, you know, this coming down in sheets you couldn't see in front of you. But then in, 10 minutes it was gone, the sun's back out, and it was hot. Kind of like Houston in a way.
Thanks for making us live there.
So anyway, they sent me up to division headquarters, and I was assigned to Alpha Company, 2nd Battalion, 18th Infantry. There was 1st and 2nd of the 18th was part of the 1st Division, 1st and 2nd of the 28th was part of the division, and I think the 1st of the 16th. So those battalions were part of the Big Red One. When I got there, your date of rank starts, that's a good thing, starts the day you get your commission. So that's 64. This a couple of years later before I got in. So your pay kind of started as when you got, as far as a grade, when you got commission. So I got a little bit more pay. And by the time I got to Vietnam, I was 1st lieutenant. So first job, since I was about the ranking lieutenant then, well, we had another lieutenant that was the executive officer right then. So I was sent out as the weapons platoon leader. We had the 81 millimeter mortars, and that was a good experience. And then after that, the other executive officer was sent home, and I was executive officer for a while. And eventually we got a new company commander, and somebody was grumbling out in the field, and so I was sent back out in the field as a platoon leader for the 1st platoon, which that's basically what I was trained to do. So, and I did that then the rest of the time till the end. And I'll just tell you some, like I say, some funny things, not so funny things that happened then while I was with Alpha Company out in the field. One of the first nights we got out in the field, we have some, like I say, it is a draft. You get some guys that they don't give you intelligence tests. You got two arms, you're in. Yeah, so we had some guys that we send them out from our night camp there, and called NDP, night defensive position, and they set up a kind of a little listening post. Well, they set these trip flares out around their position, supposed to give you a warning if somebody's coming along there. Well, these morons, when they were coming back in, or one of them was, some genius there set them all up in series, and then he tripped over it. So they all went off. Lit up the sky. And it wasn't 10 minutes later where we were getting mortars just walked all over. So that was like, welcome to Vietnam. I don't think anybody ever did that again. That was the first night.
Live and learn.
Another time, like I say, during during these rains in those NDPs, well, we all had bunkers, around the area and some inside there. And certain places, if you built them, well, when it rained, one time I knew this one bunker had pretty deep water in it. Well, we got mortared. So I remember I got in a driver, but I could hear about 6 people piling in on top of into this one, and boy, they were really saying some words I don't want to repeat. I would have hated to have been that first guy in. He liked to drown, I bet. But you didn't want to be outside either. But they were getting pretty wet in there. During these monsoon seasons, you made a little tent out of, you and another guy out of a poncho, put them together and made a nice little dry area. So I did have an air mattress, which is kind of luxury. But I remember one time with that rain, floating right out of the tent, air mattress. So you finally learned, that you got to dig a little trench right around the tent so the water will flow on around. Hopefully that works some of the time. Doesn't always work, but some of the time. We always had trouble getting some of the things we needed. We always got plenty of sea rations and plenty of ammo. But all the other stuff was back in the rear with the rear troops. They had all the blankets, everything they needed. While I was the executive officer, I really realized that because I'd have to, one of the jobs is had to go from Zion over to Long Bend Junction, which is a big camp there. And they had a big MP and jail facility there. So if you had anybody in your company that was in jail, well, you had to go visit them once a month. So I did that a few times. And while you was there, you go to the mess hall for the MPs. And boy, that looked like a Thanksgiving spread that they had there in their mess hall every day. And out in the field, you sure didn't see any of those meals. You didn't even get that good a meal on Thanksgiving. Bad thing, those guys got themselves in jail for either taking off or hiding a few days somewhere or smoking marijuana, whatever they did to get there. Their time didn't stop while they were in jail. So if they had 6 months to go, they still had 6 months when they got out of jail. It didn't matter. So if they thought they were going to be safe in there, they weren't. They still had time to do when they got out. But anyway, you'd see all those blankets that we never got. Everybody had them in their wood buildings and hanging on the wall and on the ceilings. And like I say, we couldn't get them at all. And there's some nights out there, just like we have in Houston. There's a few times a year it's pretty cool at night, but it's not always hot. So those blankets are pretty good sometimes. Pretty waterproof, so they're good. Another one of these geniuses we had in our company, when you set up for the night, you set these claymore mines out in front of your position. And it's about that big and has wires back to your position with a plunger. It has all these little steel balls in it that just shoot out. Well, this one kid put one out. The next morning when they could go out to bring them back in, you don't leave them out there. Well, he'd turn that, it has in big letters on the side, toward the enemy. He had him pointed back to us. To keep this guy from getting killed, we sent him over to the cooks. And I'll tell you right now, he wasn't any better cook than he was. It was pretty bad. But anyway, it saved his life. One bad thing, a couple of bad things that did happen while I was there was one night a kid was, like I said, the next day you take that claymore out there. Well, they didn't disconnect it. He didn't take the plunger. You always want to take the plunger and everything with you. But he didn't. He just carried it out there, and somebody was playing with it up on the bunker.
Oh, dear.
So that was kind of bad. And then we had those same cooks cleaning their weapons, which I don't even know why they had a rifle, but they were cleaning their weapons. Somebody had a round in the chamber and shot one of the other cooks. But it wasn't our dumb one, but it was probably
It really did.
I don't think they killed him, but they shot him anyway. So those things happen. You know, you always call it friendly fire. You know, things go wrong sometimes. We've had artillery that almost hit our positions when we were in a night position, which shouldn't be any artillery firing anywhere around you there. But you know, somebody figures the wrong azimuth, and next thing you know, you're getting artillery in there. Probably the only good thing of the whole time I was there was in December. Well, I got over there in June. In December, I went on R&R to Hawaii, and probably most married people did. Single ones went to Singapore and Thailand and other places like that. And well, that was a good time. Got to see Don Ho. And go out to the Battleship Missouri and things like that. And then, you know, that's kind of a little bit of reality, but it's not quite since you've been over there. It kind of doesn't feel quite right. But anyway, then I was back over there. The first 6 months I was there, mostly boring. Each day, you know, you go out, somebody's got some intelligence, or it probably wasn't intelligence, but some plan. You go out, walk a couple clicks this way, and a couple that way, and a couple that way, and come back, and sometimes you get fired at. And, you know, we had an artillery lieutenant with us every time, and he could call in artillery. He already had it mapped out what route we were going, so he could call in that pretty quick. So if anybody fired at us, we could put some artillery there pretty quick. And so mostly just, you know, pretty boring. Another thing kind of funny, when I was out one time, the lead